Hey, third grade, it's Mrs. Seals back for our next science lab. Last week we started talking about force and motion. This week we're going to continue that by talking about a force called gravity. So your target says I can observe forces such as gravity acting on objects. Hopefully you remember that force is a push or a pull that can change the position or motion of an object. And last week we did that activity called ping pong poppers, where we used the popper to push up the ping pong ball, the bouncy ball, and the golf ball. And then we observed that they were also pulled back down towards the ground by a force called gravity. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So gravity is a force that pulls objects towards each other. So a lot of people think that gravity is what pulls things to the ground, which it is, but actually things are being pulled towards the earth because gravity pulls things towards each other. Gravity causes objects to fall toward the center of the earth, and the pull of gravity is what holds planets in their orbits around the sun. That's why we don't just fly off into outer space. Gravity keeps us all in our place. Anything that has mass also has gravity. However, objects with more mass have more gravity. That's why on Earth, we observe gravity by seeing things fall towards the ground, because on our Earth, the Earth has more mass than anything else on Earth. That's why we don't see two objects like this pulling towards each other, because they have such little mass. But the Earth has so much mass that everything is pulled towards the center of it. That's why things fall to the ground. That's why when you're running, you trip and fall. That's why when you drop something, it falls to the ground, because the Earth has so much mass that things are being pulled towards the center of it. Okay. Gravity gets weaker with distance, so the closer objects are to each other, the stronger the gravitational pull is. So I want to go back to talking about objects with more mass have more gravity. That's how the solar system is able to stay in its place, because the sun is so large, it has so much mass, it keeps the entire solar system in its place because it has such a strong gravitational pull, because it has so much mass. All right. So hopefully you remember, I want you to remember that the more mass something has, the more gravity it has, the more gravitational pull it has. That's why we see things being pulled towards the center of the earth, because the earth's gravity is so large. So today we're going to do an experiment to observe gravity acting on an object. And this is kind of like a little STEM challenge, all right? And this is called the egg drop challenge. So maybe you have seen this or heard of this before. And the egg drop challenge is where your table group, or the kids who are at school, their table group, if you're at home, this is something that would be very easy for you to do at home with a parent's permission. Not that it's dangerous, but just because, we don't want to make a mess. You don't want to use any materials of your parents that might cost them money without asking them first. Okay. So the egg drop challenge is that you will create a structure to hold an egg that will keep an egg from breaking when I drop it from a distance of about 10 feet. So I'm going to climb up on my step ladder, hold it up, drop it, and gravity is going to pull it down towards the center of the earth. Your job is to create something to protect the egg and keep it from breaking. Okay. Here are the materials that you get. Each table group will get these materials. You don't have to use all of the materials you're given, but that's all you get. You can't get more. Okay, so here are the materials. The materials are 25 straws, 10 wooden popsicle sticks, a foam plate, the small one, and masking tape. That's it. Okay. So again, you don't have to use all of these materials, but this is all you get. I won't give you more straws or popsicle sticks or plate or masking tape, okay? So let me give you a few pointers because I've been doing this for a couple of years and I've seen some things. So a lot of kids, their number one focus and their goal is to create lots of padding and support. So they use all their materials to make this very cushiony. And they want me to put the egg on top. And so when I drop this, they think the egg will have lots of cushion underneath, so it'll be fine. Lots of cushion is important, but there's something that's more important, and that is that you create a structure for me to put the egg inside that will hold the egg in place. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is I'm going to put the egg on here. When I drop it, when it hits the ground, the egg is going to bounce off and then splat onto the ground. So you need to create something with these materials that will hold the egg in its place so that when this hits the ground, it stays in its spot, okay? You do not get the egg ahead of time. So the way it'll work in class is that I'll explain all of this. We'll talk about gravity. The kids will go to tables and they'll have pencil and paper first. They won't get these materials yet, and they'll have a couple of minutes just to talk to their table group and come up with their plan, and they can even draw it out on paper. And then after a couple of minutes, I will give out the materials, and they'll have probably about 20 to 25 minutes to build, which sounds like a lot, but it goes by very fast, especially if your group does not already have a plan in place. And especially if your group is fighting or arguing and not communicating and not listening to each other. So you have to have a plan. You have to communicate, okay? After the time is up, the table will give me their structure, and then I'll put the egg inside wherever they tell me to put it. Okay, and then I'll climb up on my step ladder, drop it, and we'll see who survives the gravitational pull. Okay, again, this is just for fun. This is just a challenge. The groups that are successful are the groups that work together and listen to each other's ideas. Also, the groups that are successful are the groups that create something using these materials that holds the egg in place. If all of your materials are on the bottom and there's nothing to hold the egg, your egg will not survive because it will go bounce, splat. Okay. All right. So again, just for fun, if this is something that you decide to try at home and you have your parents' permission, I would love to see what you come up with. You could take a picture or a video and show me. These are all supplies you can get at the dollar store. Again, there's 25 straws per group, 10 wooden popsicle sticks, and a small foam plate and masking tape. If you choose to do this, I'd love to see it. Take a picture or a video and email it to me, or you can send it on Schoology. After this video, there will be a short quiz on gravity on Schoology. Again, it's not required. It's just to see what you have learned and what you know about gravity. All right, I hope that you had fun if this is something you choose to do, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.